Good morning. I'm going to be talking about Tom Clancy's newest book, Command and Control, and Holding the Calm today. Book Saturday. I'm a little bit late signing in because over 500 days in a row, this is the first time I've ever gotten a little message. Unexpected high traffic. We're working on it. Please try again in 30 to 60 seconds. And I kept trying again in 30 to 60 seconds for almost 10 minutes worth. But we're here live now, and life is good. It says so right here on my coffee mug. Life is good. And I coordinated the shirt. The shirt says life is good right here on the sleeve as well. So it must be. And life is even better if you're reading. You can read for education. You can read for enjoyment. Reading will enrich your life and help you be more successful in all types of different areas. One thing you should be reading is the Enjoy Life Safely newsletter. Go to enjoylifesafely.com. You can get a couple ebooks to read. If you get the one on the 25 tips, you'll also get a little ebook on awareness, and you'll get some videos to watch on awareness. You can also get the ebook, How to Stay Safe in This Crazy World. You can download both. It's okay. You don't have to pick between the two of them. You just have to put your name and email in twice, but then you'll only get the newsletter once. So you can get them both. If you get the How to Stay Safe in the Crazy World, you'll also get an option to get an e-course for less than a price of a pizza on the same topic, where I can go deeper into those things to help you keep yourself and your family safe. So go to enjoylifesafely.com. Check out those resources. Now let's talk about a couple books today. First book I want to talk about, Holding the Calm, The Secret to Resolving Conflict and Diffusing Tension by Hesha Abrams. Hope I pronounced that right. Has forewords by Ken Blanchard and Colonel Mark Flitton. Now I have a shelf full of books on communication, mediation, conflict, negotiation, those kind of topics that are all related to, things that I do, especially the mediations that I used to do a lot of. And now I teach the effective communication classes that incorporate mediation techniques, different communication techniques, dealing with potentially violent people, dealing with conflict. This is a great book to add to the library, and I really enjoyed it. It's a short, easy book to read, but it had some really good stuff in it for anybody wanting to resolve and diffuse conflict and the tension that comes around. That holding the calm, staying calm in the midst of a conflict situation and communicating to resolve things. This had some really good tips and strategies. Good little book that I'll have on my shelf and use as a reference. In fact, I was only halfway through this book, and then I taught those communication classes, last week and then this week. And in that communication class packet, there's a list of some of my favorite books and resources that I used to develop that course. Well, I took this book along and held it up at the end and said, here's one more resource that's not in that packet that I'm reading right now. And it was that good. And so I really did enjoy this book. So that is good. Let's see. Dixon's here. Good morning, Dixon. Dixon says, you're famous. AI spam bots on a mission to thwart CWA, Coffee with Alain, as it helps people too much. Yeah, something was going on this morning because it was just weird. I'd never gotten that message from StreamYard yet. We had a glitch here and there, and sometimes Facebook didn't work or something was going on. But this one was the first time it said, hey, too much going on. Try again and try again and try again. And I kept trying. Now we're here. Because life is good. Shirt, cup, matching. Hey, life is good. Better when you read. Second book, one I recently just finished. It's in the Tom Clancy series. This is the newest one. I think this came out like around Christmas, and I might have gotten this for a Christmas or a birthday present and finally worked it into my reading. I think this is the 7th one by Marc Cameron. After Tom Clancy passed away, they continued to write books about those characters with different authors, and the authors have changed. And then, after they did it for a little while, they started putting out 2 a year. They did the Jack Ryan novel usually later in the year toward Christmas, and in the spring they would have a Jack Ryan Jr. novel and have one specifically focused on his son who's in the campus. And his son is in this one, but minimal, with the main character for the Jack Jr. novels, but he's usually in these two because they have the campus people, John Clark, Dominguez, the guys that who follow this series have enjoyed for decades now. I mean, John Clark, he's older now in these books and he's leading the team, but he's still got it. Just fun books. I like the characters. The ones after Tom Clancy died are not the same. I mean, nobody can write like Tom Clancy did. He had a unique style and, just an incredible author. And that's why he became so popular. And that's why they have continued with the books and put his name so big on the cover. He was that awesome of an author. The ones that they're still writing about as characters, I wouldn't put them in the exact, you can't really compare them because they're not Tom Clancy. However, Marc Cameron is a good author. He tells a good story, and it was a fun read about those characters that Tom Clancy developed. Now, in this book, there's 2 new people that joined the campus, and I liked both of the new people, and I like how they showed them entering and then getting thrown in the thick of it right away. It's going to be enjoyable to see where they take these new characters as well. Some campus characters in previous books have passed away and died, right? Get killed. It happens, but now they got some new blood, 2 new characters. Really enjoyed it. Want to say good morning to John. I appreciate you being here and saying hello. So those are 2 books that I recently finished and just wanted to share. So we got Tom Clancy and we got Hesha Abrams. Really good book on dealing with conflict. A fun novel if you like the Tom Clancy characters. Remember, I'm not telling you got to read what I read. I'm just sharing what I read to motivate you to read more. And if you see something that I share that you like, great, put it on your reading list. I am always reading multiple books at a time. And people say, how can you read so many books at one time? It's the same as when I was in college. Remember, in college or even in high school, you have multiple classes, and this teacher gives you reading homework, and this teacher gives you reading homework, and this instructor gives you reading homework. So we were reading multiple things and preparing for different classes. I just do the same thing now. I read one novel always. I always have a novel going on, and I don't read multiple novels and stories at the same time. I have one novel going on. And then all the other books that I'm reading, and it might be a half a dozen. At times I'll have 10 books going, usually 6 to 8, sometimes 10. And I've even had more than 10 at one time, but they're in different genres and different things. I'm reading that giant, huge autobiography of Dr. Kim. I read a little bit of that. And not every day, but, I'll pick that. I want to read some of that today. I'll read a little bit of the autobiography. I read a book on self-defense. I read a book on communication. Might be reading a book on history. Might be reading this or that I'm interested in one novel. And that's how I read multiple books at one time. There might be a day where I just pick up and I just read one book. That's all I read. There might be a day where I read a chapter out of this, and then I read a chapter out of that, and then I read a chapter out of this. And I might read 4 or 5 books in one day, a chapter out of each of them. I try to always carve out reading time in the morning, but then I sometimes will read later in the day, and sometimes I read some more at night. I also include audiobooks. So some of the books I'm listening to when I'm in the vehicle. Whenever I'm in the vehicle, I got that audiobook going and listening to that. Depending on how much I'm driving will be how fast I finish those. Sometimes I put them on 1.2 or 1.5, depending on the author and the person narrating the book, so I can go through those a little bit faster too. But that's how I read so many books. Minimum 100 a year. I think I've read over 70 this year already. read and listened. I mean, that aircraft, trip to California, I was reading ebooks, and a couple I read were only like 100 pages, so they were fairly easy. So when I go on those trips and I'm spending a bunch of time on planes and airports, I get the Kindle reading in quite a bit as well. But that's how you read a lot of books at one time. I don't care how many you read at one time. I don't care if you listen to them, read them on paper, read them on Kindle. Just do some reading. It will help your life. It will make your life more enjoyable when you're reading for entertainment. You'll learn when you're reading for education. And remember, read those resources at enjoylifesafely.com. Everybody, make it a spectacular Saturday. John says, have a great weekend and happy Father's Day. Thank you, John. Thank you. I appreciate that. So have a spectacular Saturday, and we will see everybody tomorrow on Father's Day.